This is not a dream.
Yep. Every week there has to be something. Oh yes, it wouldn't be the same, would it, people? It really wouldn't be the same. But you love it, really. You love it. Unless there's a bit of a cock up every Friday, it wouldn't be the show, would it? Let's face it. Welcome anyway. This is Dogman TP Hunting, and if you're listening to this, it'll be on the Interdimensional Voyagers podcast. Going to bring up the co-host as well from let's have a look, Goldfish Paranormal. Okay, show some love. Facebook page, brilliant. Okay, here we go. Hi, Nat.
Hello. I was waiting for you to start talking. I thought the credits have finished and Phil's not on yet. And when you said you'd been messing with the intro, I was like, right, okay.
Yeah.
That was going to happen today. Because that was it last week. I think it cut off early and we were all sitting there waiting for it to finish and it had already finished. Yeah.
Last week was quite funny. It was cutbacks last week.
Cutbacks, was it?
Yeah,
daylight saving time on the credits.
Yeah, so I thought, well, because of the cutbacks, I thought, well, I won't, sort of go too far with the old intro and stuff. And I just thought it'd just be cut straight to the guests and ourselves, and poor old Di, honestly, I felt sorry for him because he was just taking a glug of water at a time.
Yeah, we just suddenly appeared.
Yeah, it was like a deer in headlights. Yeah, bless him. Sorry about that, Di. Be better.
We'll get it right one day.
Yeah,
right one day.
Yeah. How's your week been going anyway?
It's not been too bad this week, actually. But aside from the solar flares, the solar flares, because we've had a solar flare last 3 days, and it always makes my skin crawl. So going to sleep at night's a nightmare. Yeah, it's like I'll get blue flashing lights and like crawling skin sensation. And I looked it up because I thought, I bet there's a solar flare. And I looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, 13th, wonderful. That would explain why I haven't been able to sleep for 3 days. But aside from that, I've been okay, actually. Believe it or not.
That could be why I hadn't thought that, but it could be why I've had trouble sleeping.
Yeah, a lot of people are really off, like weird at the moment, like either with headaches or not sleeping or just random weirdness. But I have found that a moderate to high solar flare will make my skin crawl and tinnitus.
Really?
And like I say, I can usually predict them now. So I usually wait for the symptoms, then look it up online, and I'll be like, yeah, solar flare again. Apparently the sun's got a really big sunspot that we're hoping doesn't face towards Earth, because if it does, it's like a really strong one. It could. I have not verified this. It was somebody that mentioned it on Facebook where I was chatting to about the blue lights behind my eyes shut. So now I'm like, please keep the solar spot facing away from us. We don't need
Right,
an
no, for
massive
sure,
sun-based
yeah.
EMP knocking everything out. But
I know it's been a bit sort of active lately because of that three-eye atlas. As nearer it got to the sun, the more it was kind of flaring off in its direction, you know.
Right. What you think it was? Yeah, I don't know. It is all very strange.
Yeah. It is, yeah. I think that the sun itself is very strange. When you look at some of the I love seeing the sun photography and sun videos that they do with the special filters. And there is a few out there where you see these large black, almost like motherships pulling this plasma and stuff off the sun. You think it's like sucking it up like a vacuum cleaner. It's like incredible footage.
Is that the coronal mass ejections? Because where the sun spews onto us, basically.
No,
those are like the solar flares, flares, the CMEs.
No.
Is this something different? I always mean to learn about it because it affects me so heavily. I always mean to learn about space weather, but it's actually weirdly technical when you try and learn. So it's like,
yeah, it is. No, it is. There's a lot to it, you know. But yeah, the sun is, is a very unknown. There's an awful lot about the sun we still don't know. No, what I was talking about was like a massive, big mothership pulling like plasma and stuff
pulling
off the sun. Yeah, stuff. All right, is that technical enough?
Yeah, the technical term.
I'm getting too technical and I'm losing it. Let me know. All right, stuff. All right.
Right. Okay. Sun stuff.
I've done my research. I've done my research, Nat.
We're very learned, we keep going on about like having degree and stuff, but it's like stuff. Yeah, the sun's been spewing all over us. That's why nobody's sleeping. It's like sun stuff.
It is. It's the stuff. I'm telling you. And there's but no, I don't know. I don't know if it's the sun flares or not, which have been making me. I just haven't been sleeping. And I think it's because I caught this cold going around. This flu type thing. Oh, what?
See, those always coincide with solar activity very often as well.
You know,
everybody gets ill.
I'll be as tactful as possible. And for those of you that are eating, okay, I'll probably give it a break for a minute. But Snot City, man, honestly, I was just like, I don't know where it comes from. And of course, when you're sleeping, you don't want it, sort of, going on your chest. And it's either sort of dangling from the ceiling by my toes on the door frame to let it kind of almost drain out. It's really hard work trying to just. But it's not. I don't know where it's cold coming from. But so I've had.
You sure you're not possessed, Phil? Might explain a few things over the last couple of weeks.
It might be.
If your head starts turning, farther than it should go, it's like,
it's green. That would make one hell of a good podcast.
It would be an interesting one, I guess.
That would go viral.
It probably would. Possessed host.
Right, let's bring our guest on. We've got a very special guest. He's working in collaboration with quite a few other gentlemen, very well known in the field as himself, in the cryptid and Bigfoot genre. Ethan Oates. Let's get him on. If I can just get it up. Here we go. Right. Hello, Ethan.
Hi, how are you guys?
I'm good. I'm going to swap you over. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, good. I'm all good. Yeah. Thank you. I'll just tell you quickly Right. Okay. I've been having a little look at a few of your interviews. You haven't done that many recently, but you have had conversations with Mr. Moorhead, Mr. Ron Moorhead, and with Mike Smith. I saw that one as well. I just kind of
Daryl's
wanted to
coming up
say,
tomorrow.
you're doing this, sorry, what?
Daryl will be tomorrow when I'm interviewing, talking with Daryl.
Okay.
That'll be tomorrow.
Has filming started on this new documentary?
No, it's gonna start in a couple months from now. We're trying to come up with the fundings for the movie. We're putting the movie together ourselves, so it cost a lot of money.
Yeah, no, for sure it does. Yeah, and it's also, there's a lot of planning has to go into it as well.
Yes.
It's, when you do a documentary, you got to script everything, really.
A lot of promoting, a lot of planning, a lot of it's there. We've been doing a lot of it. It's now we're getting to the promotion part, but we had to make plans how we were going to go into this location, the safest way. Different ways that, not just one, we tried to locate different ways, because we don't want anyone to stop us from going in there. We believe the military watches the area, so we kind of got a hint on that. So we're kind of like, we're going in quiet. We're not giving off the location because of that. Because we want to go in there. We want to be able to, bring to everybody a little bit more evidence, at least, of what's going on in the world.
Okay. No, that's cool. When did who came up with the idea of doing this as a documentary? Was it the area that dictated it? Did someone go to the area first of all?
I'll fill you in on that. So what happened was I recently visited Solomon Island in last February, and I seen giant creatures there with two other people that I went with. And the chief of the village we stayed at told us all kinds of stuff, just straight up. He liked me because I'm anti-government kind of guy. So we clicked. And he just let go of everything on me. And I thought he was playing games. I thought he was tricking me. I didn't believe in Bigfoot when I went there. And I believed there was aliens because I've seen ships before and, flying, hovering things and stuff like that. So I believed in that category, and I believed in the paranormal. But I didn't really get the Bigfoot thing. I was kind of like, a lot of it looks like people dressed up in costumes, trying to trick people. And I'm sure that's what's going on, with a lot of them trying to make a video go viral or whatever. And so I went to Solomon Island and we got to see giant creatures, and there was probably at least 60 or more in a field area that I could see clearly. The other ones they were out there. There must have been at least over 100. It looked like a big festival going on. And we were up on a hill looking down in a ravine, and I could see them before I even put the binoculars to my face. And when I put the binoculars to my face, I seen all kinds of different giant creatures. I seen ones that look similar to Bigfoot. I seen alien creatures on the ground next to these creatures. I seen ones with horse heads. I seen ones with there must have been 60 different looking creatures down there or more. And it blew my mind. And my friend, when I was looking through the tribal guy's binoculars that he gave me that took us up there, my friend, she was already snapping pictures on her phone. She had one of those little cameras, and that hooked to your phone. And she was already, and I looked at her and said, "Give me your binoculars." And she reached in her pocket without even looking, his hand and just me like, "Leave me alone," kind of thing. She was busy snapping. And I wasn't even worried about that. I was worried about what I was seeing. and couldn't believe it. And I thought, is these binoculars I use from the tribal guy, or is it a trick? Some new kind of thing. And I grabbed her binoculars and went and looked, and I'm like, I couldn't even talk. I couldn't even say anything. And it was probably, time went by fast. I got to look a little more, and the tribal guy said you could hear this big crash noise, almost like a tree fell down, boom. And he goes, it's time to go. And he looked at me, and I said, okay. And I went to say something to her, and he said it again. It's time to go, or I'm leaving you. And he already started going back to the truck. I was like, okay, I come on. She's snapping away. We get in the truck. We drive back 2 hours and something down the mountain. No talking at all. We were just like in shock. I guess that's what it was. And we didn't talk actually till we got back to the village. And then we started talking about it. And right before we got back, she said, it's all good. I got 256 pictures or something like that. And I'm like, 46 pictures. I'm like, what? And she goes, I even got some videos. And I'm like, I just wanted her to shut up at that time, because I didn't know, we can get in trouble. We can, a lot of shit. So I'm like, okay. Just like kind of keep that quiet. And I forgot about that. And when we came home, I wasn't really thinking about that, because I was just too in a shocked frame of mind. I seen creatures that were as tall as the trees, man. Huge. I mean, bigger than a house. And it blew my mind. So when I got home, she, called me up on the telephone and told me to come on over and get the chip. And I said, what? And she's a woman. She's married to a woman. And her wife came with us, and she said that she's tripping out. She's going to show her mom. You got to come get this chip and get it out of here. And so I went and got the chip, and then I sat looking at the pictures for a couple of days, freaking out. And I went through a big old trip flip. I started thinking, okay, do they know I seen them? These creatures, are they some form of entity? Because there was little alien people down there on the ground next to them, standing there like nothing. I'm like, do they know this? Do they know I seen them? Do they, can they read my brain? Can they, all of a sudden I stopped eating. All of a sudden I stopped sleeping. I was sleeping 2 hours a night. I lost 80 pounds. I went through hell. My girlfriend at home, with my kids, thank God she held her insanity. She seen the pictures, and it was no big deal to her. It was like, okay, and I'm like, I'm freaking out, man. I'm like, it's not just okay. Everything we're taught and all this shit, not just okay. I flipped out for probably about 3 months. And at that point, I don't know what they did to me on the island, but they did some kind of ceremony thing. And I don't know if it was to open my vision. I don't know if it was to open my mind more or what it was, but they said it was to free my spirit. So I have no idea. I really wish I could call there and be like, hey man, what's that about?
Ethan, Ethan,
yes.
Can I ask you something just quickly? I mean, it's a bunch of islands. It's an archipelago, yeah. So it's like a bunch of islands there.
Yeah, we were on the main island.
Okay,
we were on the main island.
Can I ask you what the locals? What did they say about them?
When we arrived at the island, we were in the main town on the end of the island. On the very end, it's like a big city-ish area. She didn't want to stay there. My friend was like, no. We came here to be secluded. We want beautiful beach. If I want to go topless, I want to be able to do that.
Don't we all?
Yeah. So she chartered a guy, and he took us down to a village a quarter way down the island. And when he took off, he went straight out to sea. He didn't ride along the side of the shore. I thought was funny, which now I know why. And he went down out straight out to sea for a little bit, and then drove down, and then came back into the island. And now that I know that, I know it was because they obviously we would have seen giant creatures probably on the sides of the shore. So when I got home, I flipped out, and then it was like it was weird because it was I could find the creatures. I thought to myself, this is the thing. I lived in Arizona, and I was married at a time, and me and my wife, my ex-wife, and her friend used to go hiking, and we'd take a metal detector with us and see what we could find, just something to do, pack some sandwiches. And we went out and one time, and we found this girl's lock of hair. It looked like somebody ripped some female's hair out of her head, big lock of hair. So that's why I'm thinking female. And there was a purse on the ground. There was a pair of underwear hanging in the tree. It looked like the ground was all scrabbled up, So, there was a cell phone. My ex-wife was like, grab the cell phone. Let's take the cell phone. Let's call the police department when we get home and see if this cell phone has anything to do, because there was a female that they just found out in that area that was dead. So I'm like, okay. So we took the cell phone. We got home. We called the police department. She's looking up this female that was missing right in the area. So we were like, oh, well, so I started looking. I got on Google Earth, and I zoomed into that area we were at. And then I zoomed into the area where they found the female at. And I found her body laying there on the ground. You could see her skull, you could see her arm or leg, or you could see her. And I'm like, oh my God. So the police lady told me, the police station told me that if the cell phone has anything to do with anything, that I will receive a call with all the zeros, that the FBI would call, and they would want to talk to me about the phone. So I'm like, okay. So, no biggie. I got witnesses. I ain't afraid of nothing. I didn't do anything. So I'm like, okay. So I think it was about 5 minutes later, the phone rings and it's all zeros. And I talked to this gentleman. He's an FBI agent, and he wants to come pick up the phone. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I found something weird. And he said, yeah. And I said, well, we got on Google Earth and we were looking around where they said they discovered the lady's body that was missing. And I said, I found her on Google Earth. And he goes, huh? And he goes, can you show me that when I get there? So I'm like, okay. So he comes over to the house, brings a Phoenix detective with him. And they come in, sit down, and I pull up the computer and I show him the Google Earth. He just took the phone from me. He didn't even care really. He asked me where I was, the location I found it. I told him. He didn't really care too much. He wanted to know about that Google Earth. So I get on Google Earth. I zoom down to this body that's in the yard, in somebody's yard, in a wash. And I show him, and I'm like, look, you can see there's tracks going across that yard to the fence, and the fence is busted. And on the other side of the fence, you can see tires, mud tracks, and something, He's like, oh my God. He's looking at it. He can't believe it. He can't believe it. He's like, the messed up thing about it is I'm not supposed to say anything, but he said, we found her body like 20 feet from that area that you are showing me. And I'm like, well, obviously she was there first or whatever. And he's like, you made a crack in this case, Mr. Oates. He's like, thank you. Well, about 3 months later, he called me up and had me take a look. They were missing another person in the desert, and I found that person. So I'm just trying to make this story kind of short. So with that, I was pretty damn good at Google Earth. So I thought to myself, when I returned home from Solomon Island, that I'm going to get on Google Earth and I'm going to see if I can't find these giant creatures on Google Earth, because if they're as tall as a house, you can see a house on Google Earth. So I'm like, okay, you should be able to see these creatures. So I got home and I started looking, and I could find them everywhere. They were all over. I was finding them in the island. I'm like, oh my God. At the same time, I was this guy, architect guy I met. He was studying pyramids and giants for over 20 years. He wanted to interview me. So I'm like, okay, we can do an interview. And he goes, why don't we set a YouTube channel up? And I said, okay, we can do that. And so he interviewed me, and he was already finding giant creatures in the United States and other countries as well. And so I was like, he was showing me, and I'm amazed. And I'm like, wow, man, wow. And he's like, listen, man, he's like, they're not just in Solomon Island. They're here. And I'm like, okay.
They're where? What? They're what? They're where? Where?
In the United States. So I'm
sure,
like, yeah. I'm like, what? And it was like he was trying to prove to me they're here. And at the same time, I'm thinking, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I've already went through enough shit over coming home, making spears. I got 3 boys, 3 little boys. I'm like, I'm scared. I don't want nothing to happen to my boys. I want them to grow up and have a normal damn life. Yeah. I want them to get jobs and have wives and children and be able to experience everything that we all experienced, and not some chaos shit. So I'm thinking all this, going nuts, trying to hold my insanity. And at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, then we start finding these creatures all through the United States. And after that, it was like Joe backed off. His name was Joe. He backed off because he was getting nervous because I started talking about the military bases and the creatures that were in the military bases. And he was like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. And I was making videos about it, showing the creatures in the military bases. So he got nervous and he backed off at that point. And, at that point I couldn't stop. My vision was getting stronger and stronger. Every other day I could notice so much of my vision just gaining strength. And so it got to where I could go outside and walk down the street and I could see the creatures. I could find them partly invisible, coming in and out of dimensions, I guess, or portholes. And it just kept getting stronger. And then I had a spot where I would go to, and a lot of times when I go there, things would just be different. One day I might see a giant alien creature standing there. The next day I'll see something else there. So it was like a hot spot, but it happened, throughout a lot of different places. But there was one main spot I go to. So I would go to that spot, and of course, when you go out in the woods, your mind's free and you're thinking and you're peaceful, and you sit down and you just think about stuff. And so,
Ethan, would you say that you've always had the ability to see, be aware? Let's say that, be aware of things which aren't the norm. Growing up, even when you were younger,
I had an alien encounter. I guess it was alien. I don't know what it is. Super forces, whatever it is. I don't know. But when I grew up, I had my grandfather was Lakota, and my mother, my grandmother was Irish and Italian, and so my mother, when she was young, my grandmother was taking her to church, and her and her sister and brother, and they would go to a Catholic church, and they got baptized as Catholic. I got baptized as Catholic when I was young, a baby, didn't know no different, couldn't say if I wanted to or not. And as I grew up, I couldn't understand the religion. I couldn't understand religion. I want something that makes common sense. There's proof of. I don't want you to tell me something that there's no proof of, and that I don't. So I'm not knocking people's religion. I've had a hard time when I was young. So my mother had a really hard time with me. She sent me off to Arizona to live with my sister when I was, I believe, 16, 17. I had a hell of a time with trying to believe in God. She had people come to the house and try to explain things to me, and it didn't sink. And so I wanted to know more than anything, who to believe in. And I just couldn't understand why all these different people, different cultures, different, countries, different, have different gods. And I'm like, why do these guys all have different? Where's the black God? The Arabics have this guy. Where's the black Santa? None of it made sense to me. So I'm thinking, why are people being left out? Because how come there's not a black Jesus? You see what I mean? And I'm a love people. I love all kinds of culture people. I have no problem with people. I just couldn't understand that. And so she shipped me off. And one night I laid down in bed and on my back, and I had my sister's dogs in the bedroom, and they woke me up. They had their faces on my leg on the bed and whining. And I looked and I'm like, whoa, I pushed at them, like, stop. They're both whining. One's a pit bull and one's a big German shepherd, and they're growling and whining. And I'm like, not with their teeth, but just whine, like, all worried, like worked up. So I looked at the dogs and I'm like, they're looking up. So I looked up to see what the heck they were looking at. And there was this thing, it was floating above me. I could see through the thing, but I could see him. I could see his body. He had a body like a human. He looked kind of like an older man, humanoid. And I'm like, whoa. And it was freaking me out because of the way it was looking at me. Is I was laying in bed and it was looking at me like this. Like it was almost like it was trying to figure me out, or I don't know. And that freaked me out. So with that, I started grabbing my legs, pinching my legs, all this shit. Shut my eyes, open my eyes, looking at the dogs back and forth. Nothing. I was still seeing this. So I took my hands and put them together, and I said, F you, real loud. Opened my eyes, and the dogs were at the door trying to go through the door. So I'm like, what the heck? So I jump up, turn the light on, open the door. The dogs take off through the house. They go straight back through the house to the back wall in the laundry room, staring at the wall, wagging their tail, not growling, not mad, just all worked up, like nervousy, And I'm like, whoa. And I thought about opening the door, but I didn't, because the laundry door to go outside was pretty close to that. And then I thought, wow. So I didn't go back to bed that night. I asked my sister the next day. She said, what's wrong with you? You slept on the front room couch, man. You up all night. And I said, I seen something. And she said, oh. She said, let me get Norma, and which Norma was her friend that used to live in the house, and have Norma talk to me, because Norma has seen something too there. So I talked to Norma. Norma says she's seen an older man walk through the hall, like glide through the hall. And so we kind of think our stories are the same. Maybe it's the same person. We don't know. Paranormal, ghost. We don't know. So after that, I tend to go through life. I've seen, a couple of UFOs in the sky. I lived in Arizona, so I've seen some crazy shit out there. With that, I met a guy. Let me say this. I moved from there, moved to Michigan. I met this native man. 100% native, and he had special abilities, and he would find eagle feathers in certain spots. And then my mother passed away. I seen a white horse, and I told him about it. He got upset, and then 2 days later, my mother passed away. He was in the hospital when my mother passed away. He never knew my mother's name. And he got out of the hospital, and he came down to where I worked and opened the door. And I looked over, and I'm like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be in bed, for 2 weeks when you get home. And he said, no, what are you doing here? And he goes, the point is, what are you doing here? He goes, Matilda Marie Mintier came and seen me. And I'm like, I just, man, instantly tears hit my eyes. There was no way this man knew. He never knew my mother's name. I'm like, she did. And he tells me that there was 2 other people with her. He didn't know who they were. They didn't say anything, but my mom wanted to tell him to tell me that everything was going to be okay. So I was like, wow,
Yeah.
About a week after that, the guy was on a bar, jackhammering it in the ground by a pond. He is about 15 years older than me. So him and his buddy standing there. I get out of the car. I'm like, hey, man, let me do that for you. I'm a younger guy. I'm thinking, hey, I can go do that. I'm gonna help this guy out. So I go hop on this jack on the bar. I start jackhammering, and as soon as I press that button, man, I could feel myself falling already. And the jack is like a 200-pound jack, dead weight. You can't just lift it up, and I'm a big guy. You can't just pick it up like that. So I feel myself falling. I go to yell at Jay, and I'm like, Jay. And no sooner than I could even get his name out, it was like that's all I can remember. Next thing you know, I was covered up out of the water, and his friend was crying. And I'm like, what's this grown man crying for? And I'm looking at Jay, and Jay's looking at me, and he's all shocked, and he's like, you all right? You all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm all right, man. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, a miracle just happened. He goes, do you see the jack? And I'm looking, I'm like, no. And he goes, it went 10 feet straight up in the air, 10 feet about, and 15 feet up in the hill. He goes, it's up the hill. And I'm like, what do you mean it's up the hill? He said, a miracle happened, man. You weren't meant to die. And I'm like, what? And about 5 minutes later, he's like, let me take you home. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on, man? So I had a few miracle things happen with this man. And, at that point, I gave my life to the spiritual world. And everything started to equal up, and the beliefs that I was coming with and the things I was learning were from the old native tribes.
Ethan,
Ethan,
with the spiritual world, what was your focus, or was it generally spiritual world, believing in?
So I was a chainsaw carver at that time, and I did rustic furniture, and I was very famous for it. 11 years, I won competition in Michigan for sculpture carving, and I was about to get in Cabela's. That's how close I was. I was good at doing what I was doing. I found a lot of different native tribes and located them, and because I was interested, and Jay knew a lot of different tribes, which that's how it started off. And I was doing tribal signs for them, and I would do a carving of a tribal big sign for them to hang up, and they would have a big festival for me, and they would give me gifts, and they would have a fire going and dancing, almost like a powwow thing that people do. And they would give me stuff, and I would ask them questions. Who do you pray to? Who's your God? And they would tell me the star gods, and they would tell me a lot of things. They would tell me the white people think we're crazy. The white people think we're nuts. We don't tell white people nothing because of that. The white people know too much about us. And when the more they learn about us, the more they want to destroy us. You know, a lot of things they've taught me, natural healings, natural prayers you can do that will actually work. So I tried some of the stuff and it worked. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, okay. And so at that point, I just started to become, you know, the star gods. So I moved from there. Jay passed away, and I moved from there, and I went back to Arizona, and I met this girl, and I tried to have kids my whole entire life, and did not work. And I wanted to have kids from my mother.
Right.
I want to have grandkids from my mother, make her happy, you know. And it just didn't work. And I tried all the time. And and so we were out on the porch.
Ethan,
Yes.
just 1 minute. Because I'll tell you why. And this is like, you know, like natives would say, Native Americans, skinny mushtin from the heart. This is what I'm saying. This, okay, but just to roll back. I want to roll back, get it back on track with the documentary. I want to get it roll back on the where you first had this. Like, I mean, it's mind blowing. Going to
you asked me. You wanted to know how I got.
No. I get you. I thank you. No, I thank you very much. I just wanted to sort of keep things now. I just wanted to basically see if you had, and you have had all through your life, even from a young age, you've had kind of like interaction.
Yeah,
let's
so,
say that.
So
definitely interaction.
So Phil, just let me finish because it is important. So
okay.
So what happened now was I met this girl. We're out on the porch, and there's this thing hovering in the sky, and it's shooting off all these lights, you know, blue, red, and green, or whatever coming out of it. And I look up at it, and I put my hands together, and I said, if there's anything you can do, can you please let me have a child with this girl? And she looked at me, giggled, laughed, and kind of smacked at me, you know, like joking, not hard. And she got pregnant. It worked. And at that point, I had a son. So 6 months later, while she was pregnant, we were having a hard time. And she said, why don't you go pray to those spaceships out there again? She laughing at me like it was funny. And I said, okay. I said, what's up? And she goes, we need some money. And, you know, I'm about to have this baby in a couple months. We need to come up with some money. So I went out there and I prayed again. And we won $100,000 on a scratch off the next day.
What?
2 days later, we won another $50,000 on a scratch off. And we were like, oh, my God. So at that point, Phil, I started praying to these entities, and I call them the star god, you know, because that's what the natives used to say. They'd fly around in little things up there, and I pray to them, and my prayers are answered. Not only that, I've done it several times and had my prayers answered. So I believe maybe that's why my ability to be able to see these creatures is there. I don't know.
Right.
I pray to them. I accept them. I feel that the paranormal activity in my house is the same as outside. It's not different. It's not my loved ones dead in the house that I know of. Or ghost. It's the same thing that's going on outside. I will go outside and I'll see stuff. I'll see creatures, and then I'll come in the house and I'll have shadows walking through my hall all night long. And I'll tell them finally stop, and I'll yell it, and I get upset at them, and then they stop. So I mean, it's really beyond to where I'm living with it every day. So
I can see this very moment. I can see this very moment, Ethan. I can see people dropping off this show, going out into the garden and like praying to the star gods this very moment.
It works, man. It works, Phil. I'm not trying to break anybody's God. I'm not trying
Yeah.
to break anybody's religion, but everybody has their own religion. There's Catholic, Christian, there's different religions. My religion is the star gods. I don't pray to that. I pray to the spirit world and the star gods. And a lot of people don't realize that they do have that in them, and they're just sitting in mute. Like they'll be like, oh, I'm Christian. But my mother died, and when she died, I put my hands together and I prayed to my mother. And after she was dead, and I prayed to her and said, oh, Mom, please, I hope you're okay. I love you. And you're praying to the spirit world. That's what you're praying to. And when you pray to the spirit world, you're that much closer to being like a native would. The natives do that. The natives talk about that spirit world.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people don't realize that, but they're open because of that. And you're open because you're praying to the spirit world. And those are the things that dead. You know, your cat died, your dog died, and you're, oh, Mickey, I love you. Please, I hope you're okay. They're in the spirit world. And you're praying to that spirit world. Now, if you pray to the spirit world and ask for help, or you ask for guidance, or you ask for, you know, or thank the spirit world for things they've done, it's a whole nother level, man.
Scratch card, dude. Scratch card.
A whole nother level right there. It is. It works.
Yeah, I mean that is just
that's
crazy.
what I do. That's what I do.
Ethan, that's crazy.
I pray to them and I get answered. I have not had a bad encounter at all. And I see millions of creatures. I find alien looking ones, lizard looking ones, Bigfoot looking ones. I mean, it's constantly. I've had orbs come down the side of my car and follow me. It's like a curse, and there's nothing I can do to get out of it because I've tried. Yeah,
you kind of like, in a way, like a lot of people, you're tagged, you know, you're tagged by these things. I'll tell you what, I just want to recap a little bit. You said you went to the Solomon Islands and you had this sighting. It brings up something really important, because I find so many people, because, you know, we're in the UK, yeah, we're a relatively small island compared with the States. And people often say, we've got a team expert, Di, who said only last week, he said, look, doesn't really believe that a Bigfoot could exist in the UK because it's too small a country. It's an island. How do you think?
I think they're there.
The Solomon Islands.
I bet you could go on Google Earth and find them. I bet you they're there.
I mean, they're massive big creatures, Ethan. How can they live on small little archipelago islands like that?
It's because for some reason, we're finding out, and not only me. There's, you know, Ron and Daryl and Mike and you know, there's more than that. But people are starting to find out now that these creatures can go invisible. And in Solomon Island, there's 150 foot, 200 footer giant there that we located. And we measured them on Google Earth. You can perfectly see them clear, perfectly clear, like you took the picture. And he's got another smaller, like, humanoid in his hand. And they're just, the trees are bigger there. But the main thing is, I don't know. We make up names for stuff. So we make up the name porthole. We make up the name vortex. We make up the name, you know, that's what we assume to call it. It might be called something else. I don't know. But they're going invisible and they're coming in and out of something. So it's either they're going into a porthole or coming out of the porthole or vortex or dimension. I don't know. And maybe that's how they do it. I've seen structure, say maybe 50 feet from me, and a guy that was 20 feet in between. He was in between me and that structure, and he had a camera and he was trying to take a picture of that structure. And I could see the invisible creatures standing around the structure as he's standing there. And I'm thinking, is this guy going to walk up there? Is he going to walk up there? What's going to happen? And I'm watching, like I'm almost being entertained off it. And I'm not telling him, hey, man, because he doesn't know who I am. And I don't know if I want to tell him anything like that, he'll think I'm wacky, but he's noticing it's some sort of structure. And I didn't get a chance to talk to the guy, but I snapped a couple pictures with him in the vortex and the structure there. And in the picture, you can zoom in and you can see the creature standing there with, it's like a predator look, like the movie Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And you can see this water effect, like a plastic effect. It's not straight, because if you think about it, if somebody holds plastic straight, you can see through it and you won't see the effect. It's like, it's kind of ripply. It's weird. It's almost like somebody throwing a dime in the water, and the water going do 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 do. You know what I mean?
I know exactly. I know exactly.
It makes you think: is it a porthole? Is it a vortex? What's going on? I've thought about walking in them. I mean, because it's got
hey, check this out. I'm gonna show you.
Right, I've got a video you sent me, Ethan. I'm going to play it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
this is a visible creature right here.
Okay, let's have a little look at this.
If you look at this picture, I don't know if you can see it, but it's an invisible creature. I'm going to show you how to see it. If you look closely, I did this design just so it would help you see it better. See if we can move it. That's the creature. That's right there.
And if you notice, he has like a dinosaur looking head.
See him there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dinosaur looking head. I'm not sure if you guys can see that good. A lot of people can see it really good. And he has a dinosaur looking head to him. And he's standing up. So I don't know if that's a Bigfoot. I don't know. I mean, he has a body like a Bigfoot, but his head looks like kind of dinosaur-y.
Where did you get that? Where did you get that?
From? I find these invisible creatures everywhere. I walk down the street and find them even. And they're just standing there. They'll stand there right at the wood line and look at us and not hurt us. So I don't know if they're in another dimension doing that. And because I've stood probably 15 feet from it and stood there, and as a car was driving by thinking, okay, this thing's going to eat me. It's going to do it right in front of this car. Never ate me. I talk to it, say a couple things. I walk away. So, I don't have bad encounters. I like I said, I pray to the spirit. I pray to the spirit world, man.
Did I know? Do these things know that you're? Do these things know that you're there, Ethan? Do they recognize? Do they interact with you?
Yeah, I watch them look at me. I watch them. They'll turn their head and watch me, and I'll say a few things. They've never talked to me. I've tried to do the mind speak thing that people talk about, telepathy, and that seems like it might be working, but I don't know, because it's like as soon as I ask something, I get an answer right away in my head, and it's like I don't know to believe that if that works or not. You know what I mean? I don't know if the mind speak or kind of works. I know telepathy does. I mean, you can kind of read what your dog's going to do, or or a routine that you're used to. But but it's just got stronger and stronger. And so I'm going to bring it back where you were talking about. And so I started finding these creatures everywhere. And Daryl Denton reached out to me and was like, hey, man, he's like, I see these creatures you're posting, man. Do you mind checking out a couple areas for me? And I'm like, yeah, I'll check a couple areas out. And so then I went and checked a couple areas out, and one of the areas I found had a ball looking, looked like an orb ball. And I was really focused on that, trying to show him that.
Is that the one that you sent me? You sent me a photo of some of those. Hang on.
No, it was a silver ball on the ground. And I was really focused on it. And it didn't even it didn't even click to him. He was worried about what was in the background. He said, Ethan, he goes, it looks like a pyramid in the background. And I'm like, what? And I look at that picture again. I got him on the telephone. And I'm like, wow, it does. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just go back in that area and take another look. I'll call you back in a couple hours or message you and let you know what I if it is or what I think. So I went back in there and I not only found one, I found a bunch of them, and they were different designs to them. I'm talking there must have been at least 50 in the area, and I didn't count them, but I'm assuming about 50, and I didn't even look any further to where there might have been more. And I started snapping pictures and taking videos, and then I talked to him, told him, and he was like, wow. And then I turned those pictures into an architect guy I knew and the videos, and he came back 3 days later and told me I contacted my mentor, and those are pyramids that you guys have located. And so at that point, we formed a group and we teamed up and decided to try and make this movie.
Right.
Where we're going into.
And these pyramids were on the archipelago, on that archipelago.
What's that?
The pyramids that you found, are they still like they must be the ones that are they found on Google Earth? Or
yes, I found them on Google Earth, and I actually, some are 220 feet tall and some are 150 feet tall because I measured them. Some of them have creatures all on the ground. It's, like, whoa, designs. Some of them have like square designs to them going up. Some of them have like a structure almost like it's a statue pyramid, like they made a statue into a pyramid. Some of them were being partway built where you can see the creatures inside the pyramid, but the pyramid looks see-through, but you can see it. You can see the pyramid, but it looks see-through, but you can see the creature in there.
Yeah.
He's standing in there. So it's like, wow. So, so we got videos, we got pictures of it. We've had it looked at. It's the real McCoy. So now we're trying to put this movie together. We're trying to find somebody that wants to step in to fund it. And what we need is supplies to get to the location, some horses, stuff like that. So we're just trying to find somebody that will help fund. So we ran a fundraiser as well. And we're looking for somebody that wants to step up and be part of it and fund it. We want to get this documentary movie out, and we want to show these people these pyramids and prove that, whatever we can about these creatures. And we've had an offer just to sell the location, and we don't want to do that. We had a good offer, $150,000 to sell the location. We're not doing that. We're not just, we want to show these pyramids to people, and that they exist. And not only that, we want to come in, we want to try and ask these creatures to come in there. And we're not coming in harm. We're not coming to kill anything or anybody. And you have to have that in a set mind. I believe that these entity creatures or whatever, they read your mind, and they know if you're coming that way.
I'll tell you what, man. If you pray to the star people a bit more, perhaps you get another scratch card. That's what you.
I don't think anything's going to happen to me at all. Daryl and Martin, and they've had bad run-ins where they've had the Dogman try to attack them. I haven't had that. I see Dogmen. I see Bigfoot. I see other dinosaur-looking creatures. None of them attack me. I first started seeing it. Oh, I was scared shitless. I had to gain that trust that they're not gonna. I didn't come out of my house or nothing for a while, man. I was freaking. I was, and then I just started to think, okay. And then a native lady told me, she said, "Hey, a lot of these creatures been here for a long time," and she said, and they ain't hurting nobody. And I'm like, okay. And then I sat back and thought about it, and I'm like, okay. And then that YouTube channel I have, I told you, I also interviewed a couple, and the couple's name was Barb and Dan, and they're an older couple, and they feed them, and they have interactions, and they feed these creatures. And when they told me about it, I watched their emotions go up and down during the interview, like they were going to cry, and like they were talking about their own children. And I took that to my heart. And when I got done doing that interview, I felt 100% better. I felt like, okay, these people are feeding them and they're not being eaten or killed. And so it's not, they're not going to kill me, obviously, or something, not because I was on a one-track mind where, oh my God, it's an alien takeover. We're dead. What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? We're screwed. They're building these underground bunkers for the save themselves. I was paranoid. And then when I found out that other people had interactions, then I felt a lot better for myself. So it was really hard.
So do you believe that with because it sort of gets me that people kind of say that like a Bigfoot, something which can be 13, 14, 15 foot in height, can't exist in the UK because it's an island and there's not enough prey for it. There's not enough for it to eat. But if it can exist on the islands that you saw, which are even smaller,
it's everywhere. It's everywhere, Phil. It's not. It's you guys got woods there in the UK. You got a forest, right?
Right. Yeah.
There you go. I bet you any money there.
Yeah.
I bet you any money. They're everywhere, and people just aren't paying attention to it. And why they're not paying attention to it is because a lot of people are on a one track, go to work, come home, pay bills, argue with the spouse. It's a one track thing that our government does to us. Swarm you with bills, swarm you with aggravation and all that. And you're not outside actually looking around peaceful, enjoying your life, enjoying what God gave you, and we're on a stress level all the time. Oh shit, I gotta pay the water bill in 2 days. Oh shit, my check, I just spent this on Christmas gifts. Oh shit, and the next thing you know, you're arguing with your wife, and they take our mind away from paying attention. I don't know if they do there, but they spray chemtrails here in the United States, and they spray them like crazy. And then all the veterans back in the day would go, that ain't right. That's not right. That's what they do to the fields when, the farm fields, they spray for bugs. What's going on? Then the next thing you know, they make all the veterans a red flag here. It's like, come on, man. It's just too many lies. United States is found on too many damn lies. That's what it is. We want it to be a good country. You guys want your country to be a good country. We want our country to be good. We want to, but we look like shit. We got a bozo for a president, that doesn't know shit, and it's all lies. And maybe they have to lie to us. I mean, if they told us there was creatures, we might all freak out. We might all start going nuts and chaos, and
Ethan, you sent me a few photos. You sent me a few photos before it disintegrates into complete chaos and society just falls apart, which I think is the way it possibly could be going, especially in the
It might
UK.
be. I don't
You know, 'cause I
know,
don't
and
like to
I
be
don't want it
political,
to.
but you know, Starmer, you're a twat, really. But I'm not political at all. But what am I looking at there? That I can see, I can see the outline, the black outline. That where is
It
that?
looks small on there, but if you zoom in, that is a creature from the LBL, Tennessee, and there's his head. Your arrow was pointing at. If you put that's his head up there. That's his eyeball right there.
Okay.
That's his head. And then you start to go down his body, and you can see he's about 30 feet tall. That creature is. Look at the ground. You can see his feet on the ground. You can, you're
Yeah.
pointing at him perfectly. You can see his feet. And there was
Yeah.
3 or 4 creatures all standing together, and that was just one of them that got separated on that picture. But there was like 3 or 4 of them. There was actually a rake creature they call the rake. He was standing around them. These creatures aren't separated. They'll hang out together. That is a Bigfoot I found on Google Earth, and I left the little Google Earth symbols on there so people could see that it's from Google Earth. That's a real picture, man. You know,
Yeah,
you can see the head. You can see it's grabbing the limb.
Yeah, because you circled a few things on here, which is really cool. Like look, the feet,
the foot. Yeah. I find these creatures like nothing. Somebody could contact me and go, "Hey, man, I think I got a problem in my woods, and I can find out if you do." Okay. It's basically that easy. I can take you live on Google Earth, and within a minute, I could bet you $100,000 within a minute I can find a creature. That's how fast I am and good I am.
What on earth is that?
That is the orb that followed me down the street on the side of my car. There was a purple one on one side and a reddish orange one on the other. The tip looks purple to me. That's why I call it purple. And some of the photos that I took as it was going down the road following me, you could see inside that ball, and you could see there was entities in there. So it is a spaceship. It's some sort of flying orb spaceship. They fly in those. And I believe the Bigfoot.
Wow, that is impressive. That's impressive, man.
And I believe they were trying to warn me. I've been being pushed. They know what I'm doing. And they know that I'm doing this movie. And like I said, I went out to my favorite location area, and I sat down, and my mind was thinking all kinds of shit. Should I back out of this? Should I stop coming out here? You know, I was having a really bad day that day. And I got back home, and this guy, Swamp Dog, I was on the phone with him, and he was messaging me back and forth. And I said, I got to go to the store. You know, I'll be back. I got to go get a pack of cigarettes. And so I left. And when I came back, it was a whole nother level. I had those guys. I had one on each side of my car come down. And I believe they were either trying to let me know that they know, and they were putting me in check, like you play checkers, or they were letting me know that I can't get away from them. And and why I say that is because my thoughts that day, early that morning, I went into the woods. My thoughts were about just walking away from everything and trying to stay out of the woods and not try to pay attention to anything anymore. Those were my thoughts because I was having emotional breakdowns, and then they put me in check. After what I've learned from that is I learned that whatever I got going on, I can't get away from. And maybe it's because I pray to them. I don't know. But I can't, it just gets stronger and stronger. And
how big were those orbs that were following you? Because that looks quite large.
I want to say that orb was probably, I want to say, a good 7 foot. It wasn't as long as the car, but it was almost as long as the car. and wideness, I want to say probably a good 6 foot wide, you know, from top to bottom. And then long, probably maybe it was a little longer than wideness. So probably 7 long and 6 wide, maybe. They were big.
Yeah, that is quite big, isn't it?
Yeah, they were big.
Yeah.
I had the purple one on one side of the car, and on the driver's side, that one was that you're showing. And on the other side, there was the red one. It has a red tip to it, like an orange red tip.
Wow.
What do you reckon that?
That's not nothing, man. I've seen them land on the side of the road and drop creatures off. You know, I think I've sent you pictures of that too, Phil, where they're had orb and then a beam of light next to it.
I'm gonna come to those, dude. I'm gonna come to those.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
wicked,
I'm gonna
man.
come to those. I've got them all loaded up. It's fine. It's all right, brother.
It's got so bad to where I just almost want to walk up and touch. You know what I mean? And what's gonna happen? I mean, but then I got kids, so that's the part that's pulling me back. I got a 2-year-old, I got a 3-year-old, and a 7-year-old. I am not in those. My boys count on me. They love me. I wouldn't want them to not have a daddy. You know what I mean?
No, for sure, man, for sure.
That's
Natalie,
what do you reckon?
What do you reckon about that all?
I mean, 2-3 weeks ago, I almost walked through a door portway thing, and I'm just like, man, I'm close, because I just want to know.
I know, Ethan, I know you've with Ron, you've had chats with Ron, and Ron is of the same school of thought as me. All these things are related.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to the point of let's have a look. I'll bring it up. There's a bit of a bear with 1 minute. Hold on. Okay.
It's not fun, you guys. This is not Natalie. It's not fun. It sucks.
I agree with you, because I mean,
it really does. I thought it would need at first.
It's hard, isn't it?
This is cool, and this is this, but then it's got itself. It's where what do you want from me? What do you want me to do? I don't want to do the wrong thing. I don't want to. If you guys don't want me to put you guys out there on the internet, the creatures, then tell me to stop. Do something.
All across the board. The Bigfoot stuff, the Dogman, the UFOs, the pyramids. Yeah, it's going to be the whole package, I think.
Yeah, I kind of think it's kind of, all kind of involved with each other in a sense.
I do too. I do too. All across the board. The Bigfoot stuff, the Dogman.
Yeah, so that's Mike Smith. He thinks also that it's they're all related.
It is. It's. I've had paranormal go inside my house, and when I go outside and I see the creatures and come back in, I'll have like they're not done with me, and that's how I feel. And when I come in, we'll have, me and my fiance, whatever, we'll have creatures, we'll have them going through a hall 30-40 times back and forth, and where she's getting aggravated, and I'm like, this, stop, don't let it bother you. And it's okay. No one's hurting our children, no one's hurting nobody. They're in our house, and that's just how we have to accept it.
Ethan, what do you think to this? This is what Mike Smith said. What do you think to this when he says this?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what I think, just from a Christian standpoint. You've got the Nephilim. If you've got something that is half earthly and half unearthly, it's going to have needs from both realms. It's going to have powers and abilities from both realms. It's going to want to be in both realms. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what
So what I think about that, I don't really, I have a hard time believing anything unless I have proof from it, or existence proof, or some kind of common sense to it. The Nephilim, I don't know if that's even a real word. I don't know if we made that shit up. I don't know anything about that. I don't believe a lot of shit, because a lot of shit is made up fake. So if that's how he feels, the Nephilim, then that's how he feels. And if that's what he believes in, that's his belief. My belief is maybe they are Nephilims. I don't know. but there's nothing there to prove to me they are. They're not telling me that. They're not anything like that. So therefore, I have to figure it out myself. I'm the kind of person, I will not tell you something that I don't know. If I don't understand something, I will not tell you it is something that I'll tell you I don't understand. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the Nephilim theory, I have no idea. Maybe there is Nephilims. I don't know. To where my research and my point of view, I research a lot of people that, let's say, for instance, William Tompkins. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Have you guys
Yeah.
heard of him? Okay, William Tompkins, very smart man. He worked for NASA and stuff, and you know, he talks about how everything's bullshit. This is their terrarium, and that's not our moon. That's their moon. And I believe exactly he's on that level. You know what I mean? Phil Snyder. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Phil Snyder.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
used to
Yeah.
drill tunnels for the military.
Uh-huh.
So when I was in Salem Island, this is an important kick right here. I believe the chief talked about his grandfather telling him stories about his father telling him about how Japan came there to kill the giant creatures back on World War II time. And I'm like, really? I'm like, oh, wow. You know, I kind of heard something about that. And he goes, it was during the Bikini Hotel bombings. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, they just stopped the treaty. Solomon Island was supposed to be bombed. And they stopped the treaty before it got bombed. And then Japan came over here, bombarding in our island, trying to kill the giants. The giants chased them off the island. There's a skull about 30 feet out in the water right there if you want to go out in the canoe and see it. And I'm like, what? So I thought about that when I got home. And I thought, oh my God, Phil Snyder talks about the Bikini bombings and that his dad was involved with the president and he had pictures of the shit. So I'm like, whoa. So what I did was I went to the Bikini Islands. I went to find these islands that they bombed. Well, they're still there. And it's like a pizza. And say you got a pizza with a crust. And say you went and took a knife and cut the middle of the pizza out and you left that there. That's what it looks like. They dropped the bomb in the middle of the island and it goes down and goes boom and blows everything out this way and it makes a crust. So it makes this ring circle crust. If you go on Google Earth and you look at those islands they bombed, they all have a ring to them. The middle's missing, but they have an island ring and with woods and all that. And so I went and started searching those islands. And the first one I went to was the Bikini Hotel Island and the one he talks about. And I found dogmen, Bigfoot, aliens, all of it, the same creatures that we find all over there on that island. And I thought to myself, oh my God. And I found the invisible ones. And I thought, wow, I've watched this man, Phil. He seems like a very intelligent man. Everything he talks about has happened except the alien agenda takeover. They've built FEMA places. They've built all the shit that he talks about. They've done it.
Yeah,
okay?
it was called Operation Crossroads.
They've
Ethan,
done it after he talked about it. So I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe this is the alien agenda takeover that Phil Snyder was talking about.
Yeah.
So then, of course, I got freaked out more, Phil, and I thought, oh shit. But then I interviewed that couple and it mellowed me back out to like, okay, some people are actually having interactions. You know?
Yeah.
Made me feel safer.
Yeah, it was the Bikini Atoll was a hotbed, pardon the pun, really, for Operation
Ooh.
Crossroads. For the nuclear testing, basically both sea and air
Mhm.
testing at the
Mhm.
time.
So then I met this man, and he says, I'll do an interview, but he says, I want my voice changed and my face covered up. And he worked for the United States government, and he's 80 something, 80, he's over 80 years old. And he claims that they have control burns to burn these creatures back. So when these creatures get too close to the cities, they go in and they start a fire and they burn the woods back to keep the creatures back, because the creatures like to stay near the woods. And I'm like, wow. And then he tells me I also have document paper to prove that the bikini bombings we were just talking about, the Bikini Hotel bombings, he said they didn't just do that. They went around and bombed all over the world to try and get rid of these creatures, and it caused tsunamis, and the tsunami came in like a flash flood. That's where that came from, he said. I want to interview him so bad, I just can't figure out how to change his voice. So I'm like,
Okay. Well, if you ever get a chance, tell him that if you
or
both
if you
yourself
want to
and
interview
me,
him, Phil, and you can change his voice, you know what I
I can
mean?
change his voice. Yeah, I
Oh,
could
that
even
would be
imitate his
great. I'm
voice.
going to
Or,
turn him
I
into
can
you
even
then.
like
Yes.
do it phone my voice. I'm gonna.
Yeah, because that's all he he's like,
I
just
can even do
blur my
that.
face out
Gives
and
me a
change my
script.
voice.
Yeah,
Like, man.
yeah. I can. Yeah, that's right. We can work something out. But yeah, get in touch with him, and then I can work something out. I can work
Nice.
wonders with tech stuff. So that's fine. That's not a problem at all. Right. So, are you okay for a few? Oh, have you got any questions, Nat?
The only thing I was going to ask is, why are they wanting to keep them back or bomb them if they've always been here, type thing? What do you think? Do you think their agenda is for them?
I believe they're multiplying. I've went on Google Earth on your laptop. You can go back in dates. So you can go 2026 to back, so many years back. I think like 10 years back or more. I went back and started looking in the same area years back, and I could see that a big change within 1 year. And I was like, wow, you would think it would be a progression of years. It was 1 year, 2025 to 2026. It was poof, like that. And I'm like, oh. And so I started thinking, and we had an incident here in the United States that they started talking about these drones they were finding and locating. New Jersey, I don't know if you guys heard about it. Everyone was going, there's these drones that are flying all over, and they're as big as school buses and shit. And people are like, oh, and they're just kind of trying to bypass it like it's bullshit. You cannot buy a drone here as big as a school bus. You can't. So that's bullshit. You can't buy a drone that big and fly it around and smash somebody's house and shit. No, common sense. So, and then you have President Trump gets on TV and says, something's going on. We're not sure, but something weird is going on. Okay. At the same time, you have these security cameras, and they have them in different places. New York has them, facing the ocean. Different places have them facing the ocean. And I was on YouTube and I'm scrolling around and I'm finding these security cameras. I'm not looking them up. They're just on there. And you can see these spaceships coming out of the ocean. You can see them coming right out of the ocean and then coming flying right towards the camera. So it would be like this coming out, and then it would go woof like that. And I'm like, oh. And I sat there and watched for like 2 hours, man, and watched hundreds of these things coming out. And I thought, that's your drone. That's where the drones are coming from. So then I thought to myself, okay, you know, because we try to figure things out. And I started thinking all these different states are seeing these Jeromes flying around, da 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 da, you know, and I'm just, you know, I went back on Google Earth and I seen the big quantity just jump from barely anything to thousands and thousands of these creatures, you know, millions of them. And I thought maybe the Jeromes came in here and laid those creatures down. Maybe that's the change of the world. You know, when I was young, they used to talk about Antarctica, or they used to talk about what's that place? Where they were making Atlantis. And when I was young, they'd go, "Oh yeah, Atlantis got out of control. They were making creatures with humanoid creatures, and so you know, God sank Atlantis and this and that." I think Atlantis is still here. I've done research. I'm about to start showing people, but they might start weirding out. I don't know. But I've looked in the ocean, and they have a lot of spots blurred out, and I found spots that weren't blurred out, and I found stuff down there, and I also have found thousands of giant creatures walking on the bottom of the ocean, standing around, butted up to each other like they're having a conversation. Some sitting on the ground, some standing there talking, some with weapons in their hands on the bottom of the ocean, walking around. I have pictures of them, hundreds of pictures. I'm about to start releasing them because I don't know how people are going to be able to handle it. But obviously, these creatures can walk under the water and open their eyes in salt water. We can't. I don't think we can. We're told we can't. And they can breathe. They can breathe underwater, obviously, unless they have lungs like you wouldn't believe. You know, maybe they do, where they can hold it for a half hour. I don't know. But
Ethan,
I'm finding them.
Ethan, are you okay to take a few questions from the people in the comments?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. Just a quick recap for people. We've got Keith Ashton on. We've also got Daniel Williamson. Hello, Daniel Williams. Daniel J. Williams. Glad you could join us. We have got Dawn. Hello. Kate, of course. Roxy B. Who else? Got a few new ones. Oh, Larry. Hello, Larry. Muddy Skater. Hi, Di. Let's have a look. We've got just going through quickly. Please live. Oh, Nick Berry. Hello, Nick. Delroy. Hello, Delroy. Thank you for joining us. Very good to see you. We've got the boy Peg. Hello. How you doing, Pegler? See, you got nothing better to do but to listen to me. Well done, Peg. Dragonborn. Thank you very much for joining. Appreciated. Let's have a look here. Drew Hollings, very nice of you to meet. Come on, meet us. What am I talking about? Very nice of you to come on the chat. Thank you. Wouldn't be the same without you, Joy. Got blimey, O'Reilly. The wizard in the woods. Hello, the wizard in the woods. Thank you for joining us. My vlog Sunny. Hello there. Thank you for joining. Wizard in the Wood. Got a lot of questions for Wizard in the Wood. Right, I think that is one Bonapay. One Bonnet. Una Bonnet. Okay, hello. Thank you for joining. New kid on the block. Lovely. Susan. Hello, Susan. Susan's on. So Rob Green, hello. Thank you very much for coming on the chat. Appreciate it. All these newbies. Wow. Yep, Rob Green. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we've got a lot of newbies on. Right. Have we got any questions there that can be Roxy? Have we got any questions which could be put up for us? Ethan, you have no idea what you are embroiled in. Right. Okay. This is from the Wizard in the Woods. So do you have any idea? Do you think you're getting in too deep Ethan?
Hopefully he can answer that, or she can answer that. I'm not sure if it's a female, male. Yeah, I have no idea what I am getting into, but it's getting into and not coming back out. I've tried to back out. I've tried to stop, and it's just got stronger and stronger. So I feel that I'm meant to do what I'm doing. And I didn't do interviews at first at all. I wigged out on myself and was scared and went through all that chaos, and I came a long way, to be able to be strong.
Okay,
So,
got any more?
It does. I find like that kind of stuff does have that weird effect as well. Like you say, you sort of start off thinking it's a bit of a novelty, and then all of a sudden, like, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. And then everything, and like you say, I mean, I have the same problem when people say to me about, what counters have you had? And I'm like, it's everywhere, all around, all the time. What do you mean specifically? Because it doesn't go away. And it's like, I get a bit jealous of people that can go into and out of it, and it doesn't bother them the rest of the time. And like you say, you can be walking down the street or in going for a walk or staying at a random place, and you'll see stuff around you all the time. And you think there's no such thing as going anywhere anymore and simply just being there, because you're just like, oh, look, there's one there, or there's something here, or I've just seen an orb, or I've just seen a shadow, or it wants to talk to me because I happen to be here. So I do know what you mean about sort of like getting to a level and then freaking out and then trying to get away from it and then sort of getting used to it again and then having to deal with it and then getting the next level. And I
tried, and like I said, I'm a grown man. I'm an ex-TV actor, retired TV actor, a famous guy, and been in quite a few movies. And I've tried to walk away, but it's this new era. It's the new time. I don't know what's going on in the world. And I noticed a lot of people in the United States are seeing them in the backyards now. That's picked up like majorly, and they're having run-ins left and right, and so it's picked up majorly, and so I don't know if it's a time of a change of the world. Maybe it seems like there's a lot of energy in the world right now, and maybe that might be it. I try to figure these things out. I have no communication. So I wish I have. There's people that say they do mind speak and stuff, and I've tried that, but I want to hear some communication. But then again, I tell myself, if I hear some crazy, scary, that might freak me out. So I think I know that. And I think that's why they haven't done it to me, because like the couple I told you guys about earlier, I interviewed, they have sounds. They have the creatures talking in human language. And it sounds real deep and scary and they haven't done that to me. It's everything that happens. It's like I have to figure it out, which is hard, and try to figure it out with my own common sense, what they're trying to tell me. Like if you have dogs or cats and you know what your dog's trying to do to you. Oh, every time he does this, he does this when he wants that. So it's kind of like, you kind of got to figure it out in a sense. I must have did something wrong today. I went out to the woods. I seen a couple creatures. I didn't stay long. I didn't conversate, but just a few minutes. Maybe I should have stayed longer. I don't know, because now I'm sitting at home and at nighttime and I've got, major activity going in my house, to where, my fiance is getting bothered, where she's like, I keep getting up because I keep seeing something in the hall and this and that. And it's like, so to me, it's some kind of, there's some kind of communication there. There's some kind of something they're trying to show me or tell me, get up.
You made a valid point there, Ethan. you know, when you said about you said that you know, maybe they don't communicate or mind speak to you because it would freak you the hell out.
And I think
Do
they
you
know
think
it.
there's any chance that these things? Do you think there's any chance that these entities they materialize or they show themselves in a way that is acceptable to the viewer? Do you think that, you know,
Yes.
what if you were to view a Bigfoot to another person, it might be an
Yes.
alien?
Yes. Yes. So my point of view on what Phil's talking about, which might not be other people's point of view, and you know, they might think, oh no, this is this, or I had a run-in with God and that's what it was, and I don't care what Ethan says. You know, my point of view is with the paranormal. You know, I've had a couple things happen with me. The thing I was talking about earlier, it went through the wall. It went right through the wall. It didn't open the door. It went through the wall, and it knew I got upset because I put my hands together. I yelled "F you" super loud, shut my eyes, yelled "F you" super loud, opened my eyes, and it went through the thing and left. It knew I was upset. It left because I got upset, and it went through the door. It went through the wall. So what I think is, I think that, and like how Mike was talking earlier, how it's all connected. I think this is the spiritual world, and it's reaching out, and the spiritual world can have all kinds of things that's going on in it. We don't know what lived 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. We don't know what walked the earth. And that could be in the spirit world. That could be in the other dimension. Maybe it's not dead. They do claim that we use our body and our spirit goes on. So I really feel that these paranormal events that happen to people, for instance, you know, I woke up last night. My mom was standing there, and she was standing there looking at me, and she was in her white nightgown, and she was standing looking at me. She didn't say anything to me, but I know it was my mom, you know, and she just passed away a couple months back or a year ago. I believe these creatures present themselves as somebody you're going to be okay with. Somebody, maybe one of your loved ones that passed away, maybe your sister, your brother, Jesus, because you read the Bible all the time. You know, I want to, this is the hard thing, okay? It's like the movie Ghost. And I want to talk to Phil, but I'm dead and I can't, okay? And Phil's he's alive and I'm not, but my soul is still, because, you know, I passed away. So I'm trying to contact Phil. The only way I can contact Phil, say I'm a creature and I look scary as hell. So I can't show Phil my face, because if I show Phil my true colors, he's going to go, freak out and run. And I don't want to do that to Phil. I just want to communicate with Phil. He's my old buddy. I just want to reach out and say, hey, Phil, man, you remember me? And so I got to think of a way to present myself to Phil without Phil flipping out. So I'll present myself as Phil's mother, because Phil's mother passed away and Phil loved his mother. And he might talk to me then. He might actually look at me and not get scared and freak out on me. And then I can actually have communication or contact with him.
Bingo. That is exactly it, man. That's exactly the way I think they work. That is exactly the way they utilize.
Yeah. And
they're
why
able
I believe
to think
they do that
these things
is because they do that with me now. They do that with me now. They don't.
And that's what we find. And that's why we find a lot of things that are so absurd. If I have my mother come through that is actually you, okay, and my mother starts saying come through to me and starts communicating with me about something really random, something to do with creatures under the sea, something to do with like kind of pyramids somewhere, that are 200 feet tall. I'd be like, what on earth is the spirit of my mother going on about? But no, they utilize what we know to be familiar. conduit.
Yes,
As
they
a
can.
conduit. You're
They can
completely right.
manipulate. They can quantum tunnel. They can manipulate something, look like something that is it's not even. They can make themselves just look like something. You know, here's a pop can. I don't know if they can do metal, but I know they can do trees. I know they can do. I know they can do rocks. I know they can do. I've seen it, and I've seen them stick their head out of the tree, to where the thing is huge and the body would not be hidden behind the tree because the tree is too little, and it's just the head popping out. And I've got numerous pictures of that,
I
which
used
I'm
to say
afraid to
that.
post.
I was going to say just briefly, I used to say that about everyone used to go about pareidolia and like, oh, you're just seeing faces. And I'm like, we're seeing faces because they're there. They're coming through that thing. You're seeing the face and then it disappears again and it's not there all the time. And you're like, because they're coming through whatever the object is and you are literally seeing them. And then they're, like you say, they're popping out again. And I'm like, so I always used to say that very often when you have these experiences, when you look again, the face isn't there. So it's not just your brain going, oh, these two dots and this line looks like a face. Because if you look away and look back again, it's still there. But with those things, you look away, look back, and it's gone. It's like, so I agree with you on that one. I do about them coming through.
I used to when I go to try to take a picture in person, it wouldn't be there. And then I said, well, I one day I went out there and I pulled my phone out and I said, hey, don't go nowhere. I just want to take a picture. I just want to show people that you're there and we all need to accept you or we will not be accepted. And they stayed there and they let me take the pictures. And from now on, they just let me take pictures. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, oh.
Because trail cams don't do it. Trail cams, you might as well get a trail cam. If you want to get a Bigfoot or a Dogman, get a trail cam and just put it in the bin straight away. You get more luck in the bin because they can see infrared.
I believe it's if they really want you to see them. If they don't want you to see them, they're too good at what they know how to do.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
We
have one that we have one in our yard that pops in and out of our tree. And my girlfriend, fiance would tell you, and we watch it out the window. And I said, what the hell is that? A little monkey on the ground? And she looks out the window. She's like, what? And I said, I'm gonna go out there and throw some stuff. So I went out there, took some cookies, a couple of apples that we had sitting there, and walked out there. She watched out the window. She said, as soon as you started to go out the door and you came out the door, it went in the tree. I watched it go in the tree. And I'm like, what? And so I went out, throw the apples. I came back in. I went to the window. That's behind me right here. Peeked out the window. Just a little peek, where not like obvious. And watched. And I watched it come in and out of the tree, just like she said. And I'm like, oh, my God. And so we have one in our yard. He just hangs out. And he doesn't hurt nobody.
You see, that's the thing, man. It's like kind of they like a lot of people, and I know because I saw on a bit of an interview. I know Ron Moorhead saying that people. Well, I think it was Ron Moorhead. It might be Mike, but saying look, it's not a good thing to go out on your own and stuff like this. But these entities, they don't turn up for a crowd of people. They won't do that. No. If you go in as one or two of you, they do the personal thing, man. They do the personal thing.
Anyone that's out to hunt them, you're looking for trouble because they know you got a weapon. They know they have weapons themselves. I've seen them. I've seen them come out of being invisible with a weapon in their hand. So that weapon went invisible with them.
But why the hell would you go for a weapon when you don't know when you first start? I mean, the thing is that always gets me, right, is if you don't know about something and it's unknown to you, why go out there with the intention of trying to do it harm? You don't know about it. You don't, the thing you want to do is to keep it intact and communicate. That's what you want to do, not blow its head off.
Yep. So Larry's got a question down there. And so Larry, I've done like, I want to say about 43 different native tribal signs during my time being a chainsaw carver. And got myself hooked into asking everything I can ask these different tribal cultures, the Mohawks, the different ones. And the natives, they don't want to be embarrassed anymore. They just they feel that the white men think they're crazy. Anything that they tell us, we think that they're crazy, they think, and that they don't want to tell too much, because I was told that they were tortured, they were poisoned, all kinds of different things, and they don't want to say anymore because the fact that they don't want the Americans looking at them, or not Americans, just other people looking at them like they're dumb or idiots, or get rid of them because they're mental, or no. The natives, as Larry's asking now, the natives do respect these entities. They do respect them. That's how you're going to be okay. If you don't respect them and you go in the woods and you start fucking shit up, or tearing stuff up, or which we do that. We go in the woods and we tear the trees and we make a area that we think is fit for us. To where I just talked with Ron the other day about this, and the animals that live out there, they live there. They live in that. They live there. That's their surroundings. They don't have to build a house and a fence and a road, and they don't have to do that. They live in that environment and they fit in that environment. We go in there and we do all that, make roads and tear everything down, and houses and buildings, and we go and destroy Mother Nature and Mother Earth, and we should be respectful to it, but a lot of people ain't. They just eat their if it's hard to make everybody care, to where you have to be more of a caring, more of a respectful person. Respect. I respect the entities. I respect them. They're there. I know they're there. And I respect them, and I do offer gifts off and on. Sometimes they don't touch them at all. I don't want to get them sick, because I do know that United States puts FDA, bullshit and poison in foods. And if you get one sick, you're going to get a problem, because they're not going to trust you no more, or they're not going to like you, or they're going to kill you. So that's a thin line when you go to trying to give them gifts. That's really a scary thing, because of that, because it's not you that's hurting them. It might be something in that food that got them sick, and you don't want that when you're trying to gain a trust. Another thing, the natives, I've been told that the totem pole is made over these entity creatures, and what it is it is a statue of respect. So say we have a tribe, us three, and there's a couple other people. So I build this totem pole and I stick it up, and it has all these different creatures all the way up that totem pole. What it is these creatures can morph into the trees. I have thousands of pictures of them like that. I have pictures of them where they're all the way up the tree, creature after creature, even where they're trying to pull a rock into the tree. And you can make the creatures out perfect. You can see it's a Dogman. You can see above them it's a creature, alien looking one. You can see them. And that is exactly what the totem pole represents. The totem pole represents the entity creatures that live among Mother Earth, and that they're showing respect. So the natives will show respect by putting that totem pole in the ground, it shows the creatures respect. We respect you. So now there's no problem. Now there's not, we're not out to try to kill you. We're not out to try to hunt you.
I need to,
We're respect you.
okay, I need to just, with that question, I just need to read it out because this goes out on Spotify as well. So there won't be any video on that one. So that was an answer to Larry's question. Do you believe Dogman and Bigfoot are guardians, protectors, as the Native Americans believe? So that was that question. Yeah, I just had to sort of like, before you start muscling in on my job, Ethan.
Yeah. So the natives respect these creatures. They know they're there. The natives live out in the woods. They lived there and were raised out there. They know these creatures were there. They respect them. And that's how you are going to be okay with them, is you have to, and that's what I learned. So maybe that's why I'm okay with them, or they're okay with me, is because I've learned to respect. I respect every creature that walks on Mother Earth, no matter what they are. So, I won't
Ethan,
hurt it.
This documentary, Ethan, what is the big main takeout in your head? What do you think? I know you can't talk for Ron or Mike, or Martin, but you can't talk on their behalf. But what would your one big takeout be that you want to get across in this documentary, which sets it apart from any other documentary?
I want to be able to show people that these creatures exist, and to where more people understand. My main thing is to get people to understand that we have to acknowledge, know they're there, and we have to accept them, or we will not be accepted. That's my main goal. I'm going to go in there and try to interact with these creatures, because they're all over guarding these pyramids. They're guarding them. They're roadside, where the street is, where the woods start. They're standing, all kinds of visible ones, standing all down that road. Every 20 foot down that road, there's an invisible creature. And so I know right at the road, we're going to have to get accepted, or they're going to let us into, Daryl says they might let us in 30, 40 feet to surround us, to do something to us. I don't feel that. I really strongly feel they will not hurt me. I hope all my team members are on that same level.
Yeah. And one last thing, I was just having a little look through, Ethan, and I found this bit as well.
So this is a good one, since you mentioned that. So when I visited Salem Island, I got to see a grave site of giant skulls.
Wow.
And I walked into the one's eyeball that was on the side. I don't know if I forgot to tell you. And that skull, if you would have set it up, it probably would have been 24 foot, like the chief said.
Wow.
So this is a good one, since you mentioned that. So when I was,
you saw on that island skulls.
Oh yeah. I did an interview and it took like 3 hours. I mean, there was so much stuff that the guy wanted to know, and that I was taught from the chief of that village, and us the following day, the next day after we were there, to a grave site his grandfather took him to, and which was a giant grave site. There weren't headstones like how they have in the regular cemeteries. There was skulls all over the ground, and some of them were set in set like next to each other, like dint, like a garter line, or and then they would start to get bigger, and then they get up to your knee, and then as we started to come around that field entry, then there was big ones, And I asked the chief, I said, is that the biggest skull? And he said, he goes, that's the biggest one in this yard. And it was, I asked him how big it was. He said about 27 feet. So if it was standing straight up, but it was laying down.
That's big.
It was wicked. No bones. Across the field, it looked like long, maybe leg bones or something. But I didn't see any bones at all, and just skulls. It was like all the skulls were collected. It was and dumped there or something. It was weird.
What's happened? Okay, hold on, stay with me. There you go. So yeah, it's playing.
I learned a
we
lot.
Are reaching. We are reaching.
Back one day for that interview.
Yeah, that was Ethan, that was that. Don't get it wrong, all right? That was not a gentle hint, okay? That was not a gentle hint, all right? Do you know, it'd be really cool to have you guys on, you know, both Martin, Ron, Mike, yourself, just have you guys on just to have a group chat and you know, see what the lowdown is on this, you know, and maybe get Larry on board as well, you know, just so we can have a group chat and, you know, just get down to a few things down, you know, before you guys skip off and start doing this filming. That'd be cool.
We don't know if we're coming back. I mean, Daryl's really nervous about that. He's like, this might be my last Christmas, man. You know, I hope not. You know, that makes me nervous. It just really does, because I don't have bad run-ins at all. I can get the wickedest creatures. I'm talking something that you would look at that you would just go, and you have a heart attack, you freak out. They don't bother me. They're cool with me, man. They don't bother me. And I've asked for things. I have received things. I've done. I've asked for life to be taken, and they've took it. And I'll put it this way: my dog was dying. He wasn't even dying. He was an old dog, but he was young at heart and young and moving, and he had 2 girlfriends in the house, and he wasn't ready to die. And he took a drink of water and started puking one night, and I was like, oh my God, he couldn't breathe. So I think he got water in his lungs, and he was gasping, and he was laying on the ground gasping, and I'm like, oh man. And that's my kid, so it's got me a wreck, and you know, I'm tearing, I'm upset, and I don't know if I should go dig a hole outside or what the hell to do. So I yelled. I had him in my arm, and I fucking looked up at the sky and said to the spirit world, and I said, if you're gonna do this to him, please don't take him like this. I said, he's been nothing but a good boy, great heart, great soul, never hurt anybody. Please don't do this to him. Please do not make him suffer. I didn't want to sit there and watch him suffer, man. And I said, if you're going to take him, you take him, straight up take him. And I got mad and yelled it, you know, up in the air.
Ethan, I've got to wrap this up. We're coming up to 2 hours, man. If I don't, it's just going to cut.
Yeah. Next day I
I'm
woke up.
I'm going to talk to you, and we'll have you on again, okay?
Yeah, next day I woke up, my dog is fine. The following day, my dog ate a breakfast, went outside, and died before he came in the house.
What the hell, man?
Dropped dead, just like that. So,
Ethan, we got to do it again, man. Right, okay. Right, okay. I'm going to... Right, thank you very much indeed for Ethan for coming on. It's just I'm having failure here for some reason. So yeah, we gotta go. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, I just want to say thank you very much to Ethan, Natalie. Thank you very much, and take care, everybody. Thank you.